Now we are going to use the thunk. Thunk is a function only, but it looks like this. You have a wrapper function, and inside that you return the function, that is the thunk function. Now the internal function may not have name. That means this function you can just remove the name, then it will be return function and no name. So you may write the same syntax with this newer below mentioned syntax. So this is the wrapper function, but let's assume because we are going to create the validate user, so I'll say validate user, which may have login detail information. Now this function which you have here return, I'll say return, and there is a single parameter, so dispatch is the parameter, and I don't give name to this function using the arrow function syntax here. So let's say arrow, and you open the curly bracket, and then we have the set timeout or whatever API calls we have, and we close this, and let's close this. So this and this function, they both are actually same. In fact, you might see that because there is a single parameter, even these parentheses are not required, so we may remove these as well. So the actual function we are going to write is this syntax, but either you write this way or you write it this way, it is one and the same thing. Here the important point is thunk, being a middleware, gets executed on every dispatch and does receive the dispatch object. It means in the previous lecture we saw that in actions.js we did not have the dispatch object available, so we are going to use thunk for that. Let's implement this practically now. First of all, I'm going to stop running this code, and on the prompt I'm going to install, I'll say npm install redux thunk. Then the next thing is I'll go to index.js, and here I'm going to import one package, that is apply middleware from Redux, because to activate any middleware you have to use this apply middleware. And the next thing is I want to import the thunk from Redux thunk, and again with the create store after this root reducer I'm going to put a comma, and I will say apply middleware, and here I just say thunk. Remember that if you have more middlewares, you can certainly put a comma and keep on adding the middlewares. Let's say middleware 1, middleware 2, and so on. You may have your custom middlewares also, that also you can configure here. But apply middleware is the key when you want to activate the middleware. And thunk, being a middleware, will execute automatically when there is a dispatch method executed. Now here in this particular function, what we just have to add is the inner function, the return dispatch. We already saw the syntax, and I add the bracket here. That's it. Now let's save this and check the output. Let me click the manager, and you see that after 2 seconds all the components are updated with this. So this is an asynchronous scenario. Naturally, in our tutorial I have shown detailed asynchronous processes and API calls at many places, be it the Ajax tutorial. Even at the end we have the eStore project where we discuss our own REST API building and we are calling them. Let me select admin now, and you see that after 2 seconds the user is updated. So with this we have taken some idea about how the asynchronous process is being configured with Redux and with the help of Redux thunk. So now let's talk about few questions for this entire concept. The first question is, how will you handle asynchronous calls from Redux, or what is Redux thunk? So basically handling the asynchronous process, I must say that there are many ways. It's not that just Redux thunk can handle it. There is also Redux Sega that can also be used, or even with the newer syntax, you can simply configure the middleware or the async function with different syntax. But Redux thunk is extensively used when there are larger applications, and it is easier to handle with lot of function calls. The dispatch object is available with the help of Redux thunk. So rather than discussing other syntaxes, I prefer to show you the Redux thunk. The next question is, explain steps of configuring redux thunk. So these are the steps which we followed. So we included the apply middleware, then we import the thunk function. Certainly we pass it with the create store, and then in this function we write it like this, the inner function which will have the dispatch object, and this does the job for configuring the redux thunk.